It has been an incredible run of awards for Mark London of Dubuque, Iowa. 2 years ago, in 2023, he became a Luby Hall of Famer with the IBMA. Last year, a Minnesota USBC State Hall of Famer, and now another award in 2025, the Mike Hennessy Award of Merit. What is he doing for an encore? Can you call it an encore at this point? He's got something he's thinking of. I'm Andrew Pfeffer. I am the producer, creator, and host of Bowling with the Pfeff, and this is Hot Topics. And now, Mr. London has yet another thing in common with EJ Tackett. In fact, they're going to meet when Mark receives his award in Las Vegas. You are going to Las Vegas to receive it, aren't you, Mark?
I'm not sure. Probably not right now, not
See, I
unless I
got
win the
ahead of myself.
lottery next week. But it was good luck. If I had I stayed home for the Hall of Fame thing from 2 years ago. So that maybe that's for better luck, not to be there in person. Woody Allen used to do that for the Oscars back in the '70s. He would get nominated as director and not show up and be in a jazz club somewhere, and there'd be a camera crew watching him, just in case. And of
Yeah.
course, he never won. But um, it's still a tremendous honor. It's
Yeah.
still a fantastic honor to win the Hennessy Award of Merit for service to the IBMA. It's still, it still hasn't sunk in fully that I'm a Hall of Famer yet either. Because as the way I look at it, you've got Hall of Famers and then you have legends. I'm not quite there yet. Even at my advanced stage, I'm not quite there yet. But it's still a tremendous honor to be chosen by my peers for this.
Yeah. And if, Resume Builders is any measure of that, you're charging after that legendary status faster than any of us.
Well, it's just that I've had a lot of honors in the last couple of years. The IBMA Hall was in 23, and then I find out maybe 6 weeks later that I'm going into the Minnesota State USBC Hall. That was last year in 24. Now this in 25, and strangely there might be something else happening in 26, but I don't want to tip my hat on that just yet. But
Okay.
that would be another tremendous honor. And I think that should be the last one. But if not, I'm fine with that too. But still, um, it's been a great ride. It's been a great thrill to have been doing this for all these years, and yet it still amazes me that the content is there. It's still fresh. It's still relevant, and people can use it. People are entertained by it, and that's even better yet. I go back to the classic newspaper columnists, not the Skip Bayless, but before that, when you have the Rick Tellender and the Mike Royko in Chicago. The Tellender was with the Sun Times. Royko was with the Chicago Tribune, and they would have their own columns 2 or 3 days a week, writing about sometimes themselves, sometimes things that they were involved with, and most often not the sport. So the sport part, of course, shines. You want to shine the light on somebody who's doing not necessarily the sport thing all the time, but something else that in their life that's important, that is, you know, makes people feel wonderful and gives the readers something else to think about. Because it's really a lot more than just bowling. It's part of his life's journey that Coach Chuck Noll used to talk about for years. Your life's journey is about maybe teaching or giving encouragement to other people, helping out with a charity or some other thing that's still very relevant and still very productive for other people.
Yeah. And that, like you said, the relevancy keeps it, keeps the viewers coming in. We read the words and take us kind of behind that. Take us into the craft of how you do what you do. How has that evolved through the course of your career?
Well, there's a natural curiosity for how things work, and once I learn how that works, how a process or how some short journey works, I've always felt enthusiastic about bowling. I don't know what it is. It goes back to my mom buying those plastic pins for me on my third birthday, which would have been 65, August of 65. So um, I've always been drawn to bowling. I don't know what it is. Nobody else in my family bowls. Uh, they might throw a ball occasionally, but you can tell they don't throw it often. It's still fun, but something about watching bowling on TV as a kid years ago, and then meeting some of those people years later and telling their stories, uh, making it relatable to their journey, to other people's journeys. It's just there's great parallels in that, and I guess I've been able to find some of that watching people that have worked the process, solved the riddle, solved the problem several dozen times to be successful.
Yeah. Yeah, and it's an incredible joy that I can tell. Not only having read your work, but also, sitting next to you in the broadcast booth, the internet broadcast booth.
Hey, it's
That,
still broadcast, yeah.
yeah, that joy kind of flows from you in really all forms, right?
Well, and as you mentioned that, the first thing I thought of was I bowled a regional at Landmark in Peoria. So this was probably 20 years ago, and I hadn't been to Peoria for a while. I went to high school near there in Galesburg, Illinois, home of the Go Streaks, Go Silver Streaks, and and for some reason I don't it didn't hit me until we started bowling the first game, but I started on the TV pair, 37-38. I'm thinking, oh my gosh, what's happened here? This is where Joe Hutchinson was seen in front of 22 million people after a massive snowstorm on the eastern seaboard in the Midwest just before the 1980 Olympics. Those Olympics, yeah. So, and then there was the Brian Goebel and Norm Duke match, and then there was Dave Traber's great win. Walter Ray won from Fifth Arrow, something he really did on television, and all those events over the years. And that's where all that unfolded. I'm picturing where the cameras would have been, where the lights would have been up above, where Chris and Bo and the other announcers would have sat behind, and I'm not even paying attention to the game I'm trying to bowl. Oh yeah, I'm in the seventh frame. I have 160. Okay, all right, I'm doing okay.
Yeah.
So, um, and that's been sort of a thing of my career. Is to people have asked, well, why did it take so long to win? I said, well, I spent more time as a journalist trying to chronicle my own journey rather than being an active athlete and actually participating in it mentally, much more so that way. So, uh, but still, there are some wonderful stories that I've had great joy of telling, especially the 300 game stories. You just never know the odd things that go on behind the scenes before, during, and after that just add a different flavor of what that really happened.
Yeah.
Jack Biondolola really sucked down 5 beers before a telecast. Yeah, he told me, and I know that's I don't know if I've been kind of blackballed for saying that out loud, but you know, Jack didn't care, and he's gone now. So, but if you've been bowling, if you've been in the process long enough, you know that yeah, that's probably happened. Maybe not on TV often, but still, just there's that, and there's the other side of it where Rick Benoit told me, and this was one of my favorite interviews. He gave me usually the columns, the just paying attention columns are about maybe 1,000 words, maybe 1,200 tops. Well, he gave me twice that, and I remember calling up Tony Franklin. I said, I don't know where to edit this. This is really, really good material. I don't know how to. So he looked at it and said, okay, well, throw it all in. That's fine.
There you go.
So he told the story about how his brother Bob went through the process of the telecast of the Quaker State in '88, where he's top qualifier, his first show ever, first game ever, the only person who's ever done it to throw his first game on national television as a 300. He beats the GOAT at the time, Mark Roth, and he wins the 100 grand. And he's just, what? But the point that Rick made was during the before the show, they did these sit down interviews where they asked these serious questions. And Rick thought that Bob was going to get distracted by doing that and answering all those questions. And obviously, Bob was on autopilot. He just threw the ball and threw the best first game in the history of the PBA on television.
Yeah. And incredible to see on television. I remember that day. That was incredible. This is an Ipsia product, of course, and you have the pleasure, I'll say, of creating a column for Ipsia's
And the
magazine.
honor, yes.
Yeah, and the honor.
Yeah, it's I'm not sure which name to use. It's under the Not Your Father's Pro Shop chapter, but I call it ball shavings. I mean, uh, it's a basic concept of explaining pro shop situations to people who haven't done it before, people who have gotten into it for the first time, people who have great intentions, but not always the background of having been a league bowler, of having worked in a bowling center, maybe worked on machines for a little bit, maybe running the snack bar or the front counter, but still, you want people to bowl better, and I help tell stories that help them get a little bit better. Saying, okay, well, I'm behind the pro shop counter. How can I help this person with this problem? Well, I give some examples of things that I go through with people who are not normally in very often, if ever. Maybe they're in for the first time, or maybe not even the fifth time, and they're already in their 30s, and they think, well, I'm a regular, I'm here. No, not really. It works a little different that way, but just giving examples of how to interact, how to approach different situations, how to get the information out of people, because sometimes they've been told one thing maybe 5, 10, 15 years ago that doesn't work anymore. Well, the game's changed. You know that. I know that. But they may not know that. They may still look at the Saturday afternoon show that we all watched with plastic and urethane balls, and, well, I'm going to bowl like that. Well, okay, you can, but you have to approach it differently.
Yeah.
The path you think is there is all worn out or may not exist anymore. So now you have to take a different way to get from A to B. And here's how you can do that. Most people will listen and go, oh, okay, I'll give that a try. Others are going, no, I don't think so. It's those people how you have to handle a little bit differently. And I just go through different examples of that, and plus things I do in the shop. How, like the contest that's going on now, or that will be going on, how fast you can drill a ball. Well, my personal record is about 8 minutes. And that's with a 6-pounder, no grips. The other record for me, my own personal best, PR, as the track people will call it, they is about 10 minutes. I drilled the ball for Michael Kramer at the 2000 World Tournament Champions at Lake Zurich, and 10 minutes, extra hole, finger grips, thumb slug, done. I timed it. I just wanted to see, because the truck was not there yet that day, so I was the ad hoc drill dude.
Yeah.
But yeah, he was very appreciative of it. He got out of it great, and somebody not from the state, you'll learn how to deal with people of different cultures and different points of view. He liked that I was rather forward about asking, well, okay, let me, because he didn't have another ball for me to look at, especially for thumb bubble, which is, I think, pretty important for anybody of a certain level of play,
Sure.
especially that level,
Yep.
where, okay, I kept it a little sharp. I said, okay, I would bring the bevel knife to the counter. Okay, shave a little bit more out. Okay, try that. All right, well, a little bit more. Okay, just okay, stop. No, it's fine. That was good. That was good.
Yeah.
So it's examples like that. Most of it's been lighthearted. I think my favorite one was about how to handle the Christmas rush.
Okay.
And if you remember that, I finally got to a point where um, I was tired of getting slammed on December 26th. So what I did was I told everybody one year. I told them, don't come in. It's gonna be a zoo. It's gonna be crowded. You're not gonna get your ball that day. So why even bother? So some people remembered that and they spread it out over the holiday up until local school got back in, like it was like the 3rd of January that year. But then some people came in on the 26th. Some people came in on the 27th. It was enough where I could handle and get it done for the next day, and it just repeated itself. It was like Groundhog Day for about 10 days. It was kind of fun.
Yeah.
So I kept doing that,
There you
and
go.
the same thing kept happening every year. So the getting stressed out, drilling your 70 balls or 100 balls on the 26th. It's like, come on, that's people are more reasonable than that. There's really not much else to do. People have got tired of shopping. They might go somewhere else, but of course they're not going to be at the center. They'll be elsewhere, like visiting the Loop and heading down to Marshall Fields in downtown Chicago. If you're doing that as an example, but yeah, just practical things. Again, approaching an idea from a different angle and giving it a much better solution than might have been available otherwise.
Yeah. No, it's a great read, and if you're a member, you'll see it every couple weeks on Net News, and I would encourage you all to take a look. If you are not a member, that's where you should go. Ipsia.com. You'll find out all the benefits to membership, what it takes to be a member. It's great stuff. See? Yeah, he's pointing right
I,
at it.
I figured out
Take
how
a
to
look.
point,
There
how
you
to point in
go.
the opposite direction.
Ipsia.com. That's your next stop after this. And if you like what you saw here, or even if you didn't, I would encourage you, please like this video and subscribe to the channel. It is absolutely free, and it's the easiest and best way to help us continue to make great bowling content.